Welcome to another edition of the Focus Program. This is Paul Dingerman. I host this program. Welcome again. We've got three very interesting segments lined up for you today. We've got Dan Casey from the EDA along with the owner of Thumb Coast Brewing, and he's going to talk to us about a really exciting thing that's happening in downtown Port Huron and also all over St. Clair County. Then joining us, representatives from St. Paul's Episcopal Church here in St. Clair. They're going to talk about a series music concert that's coming up. And finally, some students from Riverview East High School, and they've got a wonderful Empty Bowls project we got to hear about. But let's begin with a friend by the name of Dan Casey. Welcome back to the Focus Program, sir.
Hi, Paul.
Nice to see you. And Dennis Doyle, welcome to the Focus Program.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. You are fairly new to the community, but Dan will begin and tell us how this all got together.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a funny story, and Dennis can actually tell you the backstory that goes back even farther. But in terms of my involvement, I have a daughter who, likes boys, and so she began to date Dennis's son, and one day she calls me up. She says, "Hey, we'd like to go out to dinner with you guys," and we said, my wife and I said, "Sure." So his boy came over and we went out to dinner, and while we were having dinner he was talking about his dad's passion for beer and everything, and happened to mention that he was going to be opening up or was looking to open up a brewery somewhere in Michigan. And so I said, "Okay, that's great, that sounds really interesting." And then we parted ways, and the next day my daughter said, "Hey, can you take me over to his house?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess I can do that." So we get over to Dennis's house, and the garage door's open, and my daughter says, "Well, everybody always goes in through the garage door." And I thought, well, that's a little strange, but okay, sure. So we start walking through the garage to get to the door, and as I'm walking through the garage, I see all these beer taps, and you got these signs under the beer taps with IPA this, yeah, and different types of things and names of beers and stuff, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. So long story short, I get introduced to Dennis in the house, and we start talking about breweries a little bit, and come to find out he's looking to invest in a brewery somewhere in Michigan. And you were talking about Boyne.
Yeah.
And so then I said, "Well, you know what? Have you considered existing breweries?" And he said, "Yeah, but I don't think there's any in the area that are available for purchase." And I said, "Well, actually there is one in Port Huron, Quay Street Brewing." And he was like, "Well, Quay Street, what's that? I'm not even sure I've ever heard of that."
Right.
So one thing led to another, and a week later Dennis came up with his wife, and we did a tour of the brewery, and they got interested quickly, and then it just took off from there. And later on we brought in our small business counselor who worked with Dennis. Really didn't have to do much because Dennis has got a great background in business and in business plans. But we were a soundboard for his business plan and his presentations and so forth. Later we brought some banks into the table. They ended up doing an SBA loan, and it took off from there.
Beautiful.
So, but Dennis, I'm sure you have a lot more interesting things to talk about.
Yeah, that was a good story, though.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the community officially.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Appreciate
Had the
it.
opportunity to stop in after you did some of your remodeling, not the total remodeling that's done now, but tell me the experience of moving to St. Clair County.
Well, the experience of moving to the county was great. We moved up here from Northville. I actually grew up in Flushing.
Okay.
Just
Yep.
due
Another
west.
small town.
Yeah, small town. My wife grew up in Detroit, so she was a city girl. But we've got family up in St. Clair County as well, so we were pretty familiar with the area already. I have been over into Port Huron quite often. I didn't know there was a brewery for sale, but Dan made sure I was aware of that. But the experience of coming up here was great. It was a bit different for my kids. They were used to growing up in the metropolitan Detroit area, and not used to the small town feel. But it's kind of like going home for me because I was from a small town.
You've done extensive remodeling in Thumb Coast Brewery, which we knew as the Quay Street. Talk to me. What did you do?
Well, we pretty much gutted the place. I completely rebuilt the brewery. The main thing that I wanted to do was shift the focus from where it was, which was primarily a restaurant, into a brewery. So the first thing that I did is I evaluated the brewing operation decided where I needed to go to increase the quality, to increase the production, to increase the efficiency. So I completely rebuilt it. I gutted everything. Built a new brewery on the main floor, so the efficiency is far greater. Our beer quality is tremendous. We actually won our first medal this year.
Oh,
so
congratulations.
thank you. It was an apricot wheat that we won a silver medal with in Chicago. Dan will remember in my business plan, one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to get award-winning beer into Port Huron by the end of the year. So we got our first beers out in May, and we got that medal in July. So
Wonderful.
ahead of schedule.
Yeah, that's great. And you had your first Mackinac under your belt.
We got the first Mackinac under our belt. We had to do that out of half the building because half of it was still under renovation when Mackinac was going on. But it went out really well. I think people are amazed when they come in, quite honestly, because it is a brand new company. And you know, what I did is I bought the assets of the old company, and then I founded Thumb Coast Brewing Company. There were a lot of reasons for that that I really don't need to get into, but the vision that I had was creating a brewery first. And the whole design of the place is created to tie into the community. So when you walk in there, you're going to see a lot of nautical theme.
Okay.
We're right on the river. We're right on the Black River. The yacht club's right next door. You've got freighters going by all the time. You got sailboats, power boats everywhere, right? So to me, it just made sense that if you really want a brewery to reflect the community, well, tie it to the community.
Right.
And when you look at the brewing culture across the state, that's what it's all about. It really is about bringing the community together into an environment where, you know, you can't only share a beer, but you can share stories. You can sit across the table from one another and just be in a comfortable place.
The old Cheers
So,
attitude.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So if you visit breweries across the state, if you go to, you know, the big ones like Bell's and Founders, you'll have that experience. When you go to the little ones like ourselves, you get into some of the newer ones that are in Detroit. You get into some of the newer ones that are over in Grand Rapids, some of the new ones up in Traverse City. Every place in Michigan is developing this brewing culture, and there was a gap over here on the east side of the state, which
That's
I
great.
really don't understand because we're very close to Detroit. There's a lot of brewing enthusiasts in St. Clair County and Port Huron. We actually established a homebrew club, and we've got 80 members already. So, and we haven't been going that long. So there's definitely opportunity for breweries in this area.
The whole state has just exploded with breweries.
Michigan is the number 4 beer state in the country.
Really?
Now. It's only behind
Is that in manufacturing or in consumption? Or both?
both.
Or-
When you look at the number of craft breweries
Right.
in the state, Colorado is number 1. Then you got California, Oregon, and Michigan.
Beautiful.
So the craft beer culture is very healthy here. There's actually a beer tourism industry that's developing around breweries. I want to get that going
Here.
in this area as well. I'd like to see a couple of more breweries get into the area so that we can establish that. But when you look into Traverse City,
Yep.
as an example, it used to be that everybody went to Traverse City to follow the wine trail. They don't do that anymore. You know what they do?
They go on the
They
beer
follow
trail.
the beer trail.
I've had some friends of mine do that, and they said it's a wonderful trip.
It's awesome because you get to see the differences in the way that different breweries kind of execute. You know, breweries kind of find their way, and they start to focus on specific things, and they all have a different style. They all have a different feel. So when you go from one to another, they might be a mile away, but it's a completely different experience. And that's really what I love about it, is that you can go from brewery to brewery, completely different beers. They all might be similar styles, but the flavor profiles are completely different. The feel of the brewery is completely different. The people that you meet are different. You can talk to the brewers. You know, Corey Nebling is my brewer, and he's there every day. People come in all the time, sit down, have a beer with us, and just talk about what we're doing. That's what makes this great, and that's the experience that we wanted to bring to this area.
The other part of the story that I remember from talking to Dan is that you were in a totally different career. You were not anywhere near brewery industry, You weren't making hops, you weren't washing glasses, and all of a sudden you made the light went on and you said, I'm going to do this. Tell us about that.
Yeah, there was a little bit of history there. I've actually been a home brewer for 12 years.
Okay.
But I was in the auto industry for 25 years. When I left my career, I was a executive at Ally Financial, so I spent 18 years at Ford Motor Company. I spent 4 years at GMAC Insurance, and then I was at Ally with the rest of my career. And you know, just like a lot of things, you kind of get to the point where you say, all right, I think I'm done with this part.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't.
No, they don't. And I will tell you, it was scary, but I think well worth it. I certainly made a lot more money doing that, but for me, that's not what it was about. You know, I was ready to move on, and I was already in the beer culture. Like I say, I was brewing for 12 years as a home brewer. I've been going to beer festivals across the state for years. I've been to, I'd say, 75% of the breweries in the state. So for me, it was more about getting back to doing something that I really love to do.
That's such a key.
Yeah, it is. And
Then it's not work.
I think, yeah, then it's not work. At least it doesn't feel like work. I probably work a heck of a lot harder now than I ever did before. But you know what? You're doing something that you love to do. For me, it's gratifying because I had this vision, and my wife and I kind of pulled it all together, and we created it. And now when we walk in there, and when others walk in there and they look around, the look on their face is just amazing, because I don't know, I didn't see the look on your face when you came in the first time after we got the upper level done, but people walk in and it's almost like shock. It's like, wow, I can't believe this is the same place. I can't believe this is in Port Huron. I can't believe that, you know, this kind of a experience in place exists here.
You're certainly making a warm invitation to everybody to come and see it.
You know, it really is an awesome experience there. But again, I pulled from the experience in other places. Part of my career I spent in Europe, and that's really where a lot of this got developed as well. I lived in London. I traveled 7 countries in Europe. I went to Belgium. I went to France. I went to Germany.
Man, that's a lot of beer.
And you know what's really cool about all those different places? It's the same thing that's happening here in America. When you're in Germany, every town in Germany that you go to, guess what? They have a brewery.
Real brewery.
And the brewery is completely tied to the community. I brought little things back from that experience that, you know, having the big German beer tables. Well, we got one of those big German beer tables right in the upper level. So the corporate career that I had definitely prepared me for doing what I'm doing. If I didn't have that experience, quite honestly, I probably would have failed already.
Dan, there's a spin-off from this too. I understand there's a new industry popping up, hops industry, and it wouldn't be called an industry, but necessarily is it?
It's getting there.
Well, I would call it an industry actually, and it's an outgrowth of all the breweries that have opened up in Michigan, because obviously they all need hops and other products to make their beers, and it's like any other industry where, you know, you have to have a supply chain, and you have to, you know, you want to try to reduce your costs through your supply chain. So the closer you can grow the hops and get the other materials you need to make beer, the more money you potentially can make. So for us, what's really been interesting is that we're kind of following the path of the whole Traverse City, the west side of the state, with wineries and with their grape growing industry. Now we're doing it with beer and with hops. So we have, you know, well over a dozen hops growers in the Thumb area.
Really?
Yeah, you wouldn't know it. In fact, I just drove by one 2 days ago that I didn't even know was there in the Lexington area. And so we still have a long way to go in that respect, but as breweries like Dennis's Thumbcoast, as it continues to become more popular and sell more beer, as other breweries form around it, and we create that cluster that he's talking about, there's going to be a demand for even more hops. So on the west side of the state is where they do most of the drying today, and that's one of the areas that we have yet to grow in our area. But bottom line is it supports the industry, it creates that supply chain I was talking about, it creates jobs, and the farmers are happy because it's a brand new commodity that they can produce.
This used to be one of the biggest areas for hops in the state. You know, when you look
Probably
back into the
supplying
agricultural Well, there used to be 4 breweries in Port Huron.
Oh, that's right.
Before Prohibition,
Yeah.
there were 4 breweries in Port Huron. There were, as you said, breweries in Detroit. A lot of that agricultural need, whether it be hops or grain, came from the Thumb area. People forget that.
Right.
So we are working with local farmers that grow hops. We actually made a beer this year called the American Patriot Harvest Ale. That beer was made with hops from American Patriot Hop Farms in Smiths Creek. So local product.
Right.
The beer came out fantastic. And there are a half a dozen other hop farmers that are now working together to form the Eastern Shores chapter of the Michigan Hop Alliance. So the Michigan Hop Alliance was formed on the west side of the state, but now the east side and the west side of the state are coming together to form one hop alliance that basically allows hop growers and breweries to work together to get the product from the field to the brewery.
And it all started because you dropped your daughter off.
Well, I don't know if it started. Maybe for Dennis, that was the next step in the process, but yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I would have ended up in Boyne. There was no doubt about it. I was a week away from signing a contract. So, it's funny how things happen sometimes.
Yes.
But if I didn't meet Dan and we didn't get connected, I wouldn't be here. So.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Well, thank you.
Thumb
Appreciate
Coast
it.
Brewing in downtown St.
Downtown
Port Huron,
Port Huron, right on the
along
Black River.
Quay Street.
Yeah.
Great spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Paul.
Good seeing you.
Yeah.
We'll be back with some guests from St. Paul's Episcopal in just a second. We're back with some friends. I can't get my words to work today. That happens. You know that every once in a while. We are back with some friends from St. Paul's Episcopal, just down the street and around the corner. We are with Carrie Goulan. Nice to see you. Welcome back.
Nice to see you.
And Peggy Starkey. We're going to meet you in a minute. And the boss down here on the end, Mr. Dale Kaufman. Nice to see you. You guys have been having a musical potpourri. Started out a while ago, the first part of September, with a local celebrity by the name of Harry Krause, and that was very successful. And now you're returning with concert number 2. Talk to me about it.
Concert number 2 is November 16th, 3 p.m. We're going to have the concerts always the 3rd Sunday of the month.
Okay.
Not each month, but September, November, February, and May.
Okay.
And this is the first year that we've had this series, and the first concert was very successful, sold out, everybody enjoyed it, and this concert is going to be double date.
Okay.
Music of the 50s, 60s, 70s? 40s, 50s, 40s. Yeah, and Peggy will tell you more about that.
Okay. Peggy, talk to me about Double Date. That is your group. Who's in the group?
It's my husband and myself, Al
Okay.
Starkey and Peggy, and our friends Brian and Luann Kaufman, and we're all from Marysville, and we got together about 5 years ago.
And you said you play music from the 40s, the 50s, the
and
60s.
60s.
What kinds of instruments? What kinds of...
Well, the guitar, my husband arranges our music, and he plays the guitar, and some of them are a cappella.
Oh, really? Okay. Are there any other instruments or just the guitar?
Tambourine here and there.
Yeah, well, you need a
just little bits
tambourine,
like that.
and Carrie knows you got to have a tambourine. She's seen me play those every once in a while. But, how long is your show, or what?
Well,
Talk to me about your show.
At this particular show, we're going to be doing 2 segments of maybe 30 minutes apiece. So we'll be doing an hour's worth.
Beautiful, beautiful. The concert series, Dale, what spurred the church to come up with a concert series?
This was Carrie's idea.
Okay.
It's a fundraiser for the church to bring in some extra funds.
We all need them.
We need funds. We need some extra funds, help pay the bills. And Carrie came up with this wonderful idea to music. Music is very special at St. Paul's. We love music. We love singing. So again, she came up with the idea. Let's bring some local people in and have them entertain and have a good time, which the first one was, and the rest of them appear that they're going to be. So looking forward to having them and having some great music.
I see now from the picture, the double date where you got the name for the group.
That's true.
It doesn't take me long. It takes me just about an hour to figure these things out.
Two married couples.
Two married couples. And that performance is going to be Sunday, November the 16th at 3 in the afternoon. And then we're talking about a young lady who is from St. Clair High School and who is now teaching out of St. Clair High. And she's going to be the next guest. Talk to me about that.
Yes, Anna Nandowski is a St. Clair product.
All right?
She sang at St. Mary's.
Yep.
Actually, she began to sing with the adult choir when she was very young. She had an extreme talent that showed up
Yeah.
fast, and she was a cantor for many years at St. Mary's and graduated from St. Clair High School and went on to school to major in music, did many concerts all over the United States, and has returned to St. Clair. So that is our win. She's teaching at St. Clair High School, vocal music, and she's stretching over to Marysville too and teaching some actually instrumental music groups.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful, terrific young woman.
Oh, yeah.
And what a great future she's got ahead for herself and for the community. If she continues to stay here, we're going to be very fortunate.
Oh, yeah. I have some little piano students that sing for her, and they're just extremely excited. She's ignited a whole new love of singing in the children, you
Isn't
know.
that wonderful?
Oh, yeah. The end of their piano lessons is always 10 minutes of singing. Yeah. She's just got them.
So she's going to be with us on
February.
February 15th. And then the end of the season comes in May when the flowers are starting to come up again with a good friend by the name of Bob Gornak. Talk to me about Bob.
Bob Gornak is going to be a lot of fun for everyone. I'm not sure exactly what will happen that day. I know there's going to be a lot of good piano music. He's practicing very hard. He likes a challenge, and so he's a Gershwin expert. And if you like Gershwin music, you'll hear it played like never before. And he's also a very good ragtime piano player, jazz. He does many things. Plays locally, plays a lot at Lynch's, Louis' Chop House, closer to the city. So he's a good friend of ours.
Tickets are only $10 at the door, additional
Yes.
for an afterglow after the thing. They're available at Abbey Road Music in Fisher Plaza. And where else? Anywhere else? The church?
The church. The tickets are limited,
Okay.
so you'd probably want to purchase them in advance if you can. They are at the door, though.
Okay. Are you selling them as a package, or is there a series price, or is it just individual?
Individual.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Some
Individual
concerts
concerts.
do, some don't.
And the Afterglow is at the River Crab, and that's always a fun time. I think this group, Double Date, will probably come down and join us and probably give us some encore music for while we're there, having some hors d'oeuvres and possibly a brewski or two.
Well, that's all right. Nothing wrong with that. St. Paul liked a good brewski once in a while.
There you go. We do have, during the intermission, we have another group actually coming in to entertain.
And who would that be?
I will let Carrie.
That is St. Clair's own barbershop group called Sasquatch.
Right?
And they were formed for one of the birthdays, the St. Clair.
Sesquicentennial.
I'm glad you said that.
Took me years to pronounce it, so I'm never gonna.
I didn't even try it. Did you see that?
Took me forever.
But they did sing at that and
2008.
2008, and since that time they've stayed together and formed a real nice group. And I think that we could also say that members are welcome to join them. So they're going to get together and sing between the first set and the second set.
Oh, that'll be great. What a great
Yeah.
evening of
It
entertainment.
will be, yeah.
So it is Sunday, I better get my right calendar, November the 16th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. St. Paul's on 6th Street in St. Clair.
Yes.
Then again, Anna Nadaski in February and Bob Gornak in May. So it's a great series. Great
Yes,
series.
yeah. We were happy to have all local people.
Mm-hmm,
You know, these are all local musicians that have great impact on the community
Mm-hmm.
and great impact on all of us too.
Ms. Goulan,
Yeah.
nice to see you.
Thanks, Paul.
Very nice to have met you. We'll look forward to hearing your music. And fella, down on the end down here, always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
Good group, St. Paul's Episcopal on 6th Street, and they've got some great music coming up for you, so put that on your calendar as the months progress, and they're welcoming you to their community. We'll be back with some friends from Riverview East High School, talk about an empty bowl project they've got going. One of the active places in St. Clair County is Riverview East High School, located currently in Marine City, Michigan. Joining us now is our two students, Taylor and Cara. Nice to meet you both. And you both got colds, so I'm not going to shake your hands any more than I already did. If I get my colds, my wife will be after both of you. So, talk to me about why you are here from Riverview East High School.
Well, we are here because we are doing a charity benefit that is called Empty Bowls.
Okay?
Empty Bowls is basically a fundraiser for the people who are hungry and people in poverty. And we are making handmade bowls out of clay
Wonderful.
and painting them. And we also having a soup dinner with rolls, dessert, and you get a student bowl for admission.
Where's the dinner going to be?
St. Martin Lutheran's Church in Marine
Okay,
City.
in Marine City.
Yes.
And the date on it?
November 13th.
Okay. Now we got that out of the way. St. Martin's, November 13th. And how did you get started in this project? There's a Jason Steyer involved in this?
Yes, our art teacher.
He's brand new, isn't he? A first-year teacher?
No.
No?
He's been there.
He's quite a guy.
Yes.
Yes.
Talk to me about Jason Steyer.
He, I don't really know how long he's been there. This is my second year at Riverview. I know he's been there since the old building,
Right.
which was about 2 years ago.
Right?
He's wonderful. He's a great art teacher. He does a lot for our community. He's done a lot of community events. He does a lot of things for our community, whether it's in Port Huron, Marine City, anywhere. He does a lot of trails. I think he's
Trail
actually...
Towns, I think they call it.
Yeah, and he's doing the plaza down there. He's
Mhm,
helping
St. Clair.
redo that. He's actually got a project for it for the fountain, which looks really good right now.
He can relate to students, can he?
Yep.
He maybe you never had art in your background before, and he can draw you out and get you involved, right?
Yeah.
That's definitely it.
Yeah.
I was never an artistic person at all.
Me either.
And last year, he just kind of got me out of that. And I can kind of draw now.
What kinds of things are you doing with Jason?
Right now, we are doing a community project.
Okay.
And we are in different groups.
Mhm.
And he's trying to bring out our creative side to help the community.
Beautiful.
And we are limited to making our design in a pizza box.
In a pizza box.
Yes.
Yep.
So instead of thinking outside the box, we have to
Think
limit
inside the
ourselves
box.
to the box.
Well, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's tough.
It really is.
It really is tough. Empty bowls. The bowls, are you firing them, as they say, at school?
Yes, Jay is firing them for us. And then we ourselves are glazing them or painting them, whatever one. And then he will fire them again to where you can eat out of them and drink out of them.
Is there a cost to go to the soup dinner?
Yes.
And how much is that?
It is $8
Okay.
to get in with the soup dinner and everything. And then you also get a student bowl of your choice with that admission. And then there's going to be potter bowls, like professional potters, and those will be an additional charge.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, I know they've had a Empty Bowls project up in Port Huron that I think he's been involved in too.
Yes.
Yep.
For years, and they've been very, very successful. I think this is the first time they've done it in Marine City.
Yes, we are the ones who came up with it.
Oh, great.
Jay had the idea to have ours start our own.
Do you know where the money will go, the profits, right, stay right in Marine City?
Yeah, the profits are going to St. Martin's Food Pantry.
Oh, good.
So it's
good.
going to their food pantry.
Great. Okay. What else is it good about Riverview East High School?
It's a great place to learn.
Great place to learn. How many students? 70 or 80 students now?
I think there's more than that now
Yeah,
this
I
year.
think we have around 100.
That's
Yep.
great. That's great. Well, they were here in this building, where
Mm-hmm.
we're located here for a long period of time, and we sort of miss you up here.
Yeah, my
But-
brother was in this building.
Was he? Okay. Well, we salute you for this project, Empty Bowls. Give us the dates and times again.
It's November 13th at St. Martin's Church in Marine City.
What time?
It is 3 to 4:30 is the first session, and then 5 to 6:30 is the second.
Okay. And the prices was $8. That's
$8 with a bowl,
And you
student
get-
bowl of your choice.
Wonderful. Well, I salute you both, and I salute, of course, Jason and all the efforts that he does for Riverview and for you guys. So, thank you. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
And hope you both feel better. Hope I don't get you cold. That's about it for this edition of the Focus Program. Thanks very much for tuning in. Till next time, I'm Paul Dingaman. See you soon. And we'll just sort of sit here and...
Tune in again soon for another episode of Focus. Make sure to check CTV out on www.watchctv.org or like us on Facebook.